Alright, hello people, it's me again. Yep, it is perhaps one of the strangest times I've streamed. At the moment, it is 2:34 a.m. What am I doing at 2:30 a.m.? Streaming, obviously. So, hello to our notification squad, or one of you right now. Yeah, long story short, I had a pretty weird day. I obviously worked, but my sleep pattern's been pretty rugged the last few days. It's funny, like when you get used to the process of having like short sleep patterns, you tend to come out and work more efficiently. So like, I don't feel tired or groggy or sort of thing, but I do have a very breaking sleep pattern. So I've been sleeping all afternoon or evening. Woke up an hour ago. I've got archery in a few hours, so I thought, you know what, I'll do a quick stream here. I had a few form check submissions which I want to clear out, and I am planning to do the Q&A in around a day. I'm not sure exactly when I'll do this. I'll figure it out. So for those who are just joining me, this is the sixth live form check. In this series, we look at the forms of different arts from around the world. Feel free to send me videos of you shooting, and I will do some commentary on your technique and form. Today we have a couple of different videos. I'm a little short on content, so if you want to send me something to comment live on this video, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll go through and check out our archers today. Hello to the chat, by the way. Hello to Alex from Australia and Martin from Austria. Two very different places, apparently. Don't mix these two places up. A little linguistic trivia. The word Australia comes from the Latin Australis, which means south, and the word Austria comes from Österreich, which means east, East Empire, East Kingdom. So, despite having very similar names, Austria and Australia come from completely different linguistic roots. There you go. And Hawaii is nothing to do with Australia. But hello to GRD90U from Hawaii. How are you today? So we'll get our videos up. There are a couple of different people who are going to be analyzed today. I do apologize if you aren't in chat. Hi, hello to our Malaysian fan, the biggest one apparently. Nice to see you there. From the UK and from Trinidad. Trinidad's a pretty nice archery community. In fact, quite a few people from Trinidad comment and have a chat too. So, what I'm going to look at first is a video from Fabian. I believe he's either Austrian or German, based on the name of the video, Bogenschießen. And he's shooting a 24-pound bow. Now, this is going to be a nice back tension video. Nice long video, 8 minutes long, so lots of shots and different perspectives. So this is a nice example of a form check video. So let's watch this together. Unfortunately, I can't get the sound on because it'll echo and give feedback on the video. What I might do is actually put headphones on. I can actually watch the video this way, hopefully. So I've got the desktop off, and that way I can listen to this. So let's have a look at this. I'm just gonna switch to my other camera. This looks pretty good so far. So let's have a look at Fabian's form. Okay, so 24-pound bow. Let's have a look. This is a really good angle. I'm not going to comment too much on the form yet. We'll appreciate the filmography. That's a really good angle. You can see there are a couple of things to watch in this perspective, and this is why I think Fab has sent in an excellent video today. So there are two things to watch for when looking at this angle. One is the clicker point. So I'm watching how smooth the arrow comes through the clicker. The second thing is the back tension. What you should see is a bit of the right scapula popping out and the shoulders squeezing together. By the way, that's a nice bow, man. That win-win TFT is a sexy bow. That seemed like a little bit harder shot. A bit of a struggle there. That's normal. Especially if you get used back tension. Try to get the feeling right. And we'll see where things can be a little better as we go along. That's going to be a lot smoother. I mean, this process, you'll be looking at smoothness, especially. If you can get through the clicker in the smooth single motion, then you're doing a good job. Not bad. That was clean. So by the way, you see like that back tension, the back tension there is really good. You can see the muscles really pop out there, and the shadows from the lighting really emphasizes. And of course, he's shooting a low target. You can see the shoulders are kind of pointing downwards. That's pretty normal. But one of the tougher things when shooting in a backyard or home environment is just not having the space to shoot at a level target. The result is sometimes people tend to lower the front arm, and therefore the shoulder comes out of alignment. Just be careful this when you're shooting at home. Fabi, not so much, but for this case, you might have to lean forward. It's more of a field style to do this rather than a target style. But that's one thing to watch out for. That's a very good. That to me is a great example of back tension. We'll play that one just again. Just watch the rotation of the shoulder and the way this scapula pops out. That's an excellent level of back tension. So it comes out there. You can see that comes squeezing down. So it should be moving down and inwards this way. All right, squeezing towards the middle of the back. So the muscular engagement is pretty good from what I can see here. No, that's a bit more of a struggle to get through there. This one's a bit more difficult to see because you can see again that I think it's lost the alignment of the shoulders here. If you go back to some of the previous ones, I think the shoulders are a bit more in line. So that's not too bad. So that's kind of just below that frame over there. If you go to our recent shot here, I think he goes a little too high. I might be imagining things there. No, it's about right actually. You can still have problem shooting a lower target. Sometimes the arc can be a little too high. See that's a lower shot there. So one thing we're gonna definitely identify. He might be shooting a different target. I'm not sure if he's shooting a 3-spot target, just aiming somewhere else. But you can see there's a slight difference in the elbow positioning. But it could be he's aiming a different point than target. Looking good so far. Looking good. Hi, Kevin, by the way. Hello, James. Nudist archery. I just see the chat. Yeah, one of the hardest things about this is that, chest slap sucks, man. I used to do this in my practice videos, but after hitting my nipple a few times, it's not exactly the nicest thing. Not exactly stimulating. Is he wearing pants? I don't know. Not gonna go that low. As long as he's wearing a quiver. I mean, it has an arm guard that's well protected, okay? There we go, front view. Alright, by the way, I'll distract it there. Okay, so let's watch the last few back tension shots together. We'll see the front side a bit later, but let's do a commentary on the back tension for a bit. So, we can see, generally speaking, Fabian's back tension is good. There's conscious movement. The back is tense. There's no floppy, flappy, sloppy movements in the back tension. So I think this muscular control is good, and I like this because it's easier to get a large motion and refine that rather than try to be too delicate. And I think he knows what good back tension is. So he's practicing good habits here. Just, I guess, one of the harder things when this is because he's aiming a lower target. It can be quite hard to get this right. Having the high elbow is not bad. You can see here, this elbow is a little higher than before, whereas some are a little lower. So one of the things, having an elbow that's too low prevents you from getting good back tension. Having too high can also make it less efficient. There's a sweet spot between high and low. The general rule is that the forearm should be pointing towards the grip, and that means you're in that sweet spot. In this case, you can see, and we'll see from the front view a bit easier, that you can see that the forearms, and for this shot, is pointing to below the handle. If we draw a straight line there, this may not be the most efficient position, but he's aiming a lower target, so might be struggling to get that. I want to pick up some of the ones he has a hard time with. So this one's a bit easy. You can see this elbow alignment. It's a bit closer to the grip, so I feel that's probably a bit easier. You can see here, that should be pointing just in the base. I think the advice is to try to get to the top of the grip rather than the bottom, so it's a little high, comparatively speaking. It's also a little tricky because he is aiming downwards. That one's a high shot there. You can see before it was below the door frame. That one's kind of touching. You can see that elbow alignment's kind of pointing way below the grip there. Let's go some of the early ones, by the way. Now, as a habitual thing, one of the tough things is getting the bow online or on target. If we see what happens here, he will go to his full draw, and then he will drop the bow a bit more. Now that's okay for aiming, so he has that fine. This to me is a good process if he's aiming at a target straight in front of him. But what he does in the next second is that he'll lower the bow to aim at the target. And I feel this is not the best motion to do. I have to explain this. So let's swip back to our main scene. So what I feel, by the way, yeah, James, that's a hell of a nice bow. The TFT is just beautiful. So, one advice which I can give to people is that when you are shooting and you're aligning your shot, what you need to do is take off your headphones. But what I find it's really helpful to keep in mind is that you should be on target by the time you reach your full draw. So if I'm shooting at a level target right in front of me, that's above the camera, but right in front of me, what I want to do is start a little higher, and then when I get to my full draw, I should already be on target. And then I can squeeze through and do the shot. So the motion, I'm kind of cramped here, but let's imagine I'm back over here. So the motion would be raise the bow for pre-draw, draw, anchor, expand, and then release. So there shouldn't be an extra downward movement to adjust. What I think Fabian's doing in the sequence is he is coming in to full draw, he anchors, and then he lowers the front arm to aim at the lower target. That's what it kind of looks like. So what I think is better is, especially if you are aiming at a lower target, is actually push the bow down from the start. So rather than lift the bow, draw, then lower, because you already know you have to aim lower than what your normal alignment is, then get in the habit of actually, in this case, bending at the waist, lean forward, and actually drop the bow lower before you reach full draw. That way you maintain correct shoulder alignment. If you have to change your point of aim by moving your front arm, then that changes shoulder alignment. So rather than going this, alright, so you keep straight, you bend, or you lean forward in this case. You don't draw the full anchor, or full draw anchor, and then drop the front arm, because that means your drawing arm and elbow are in a high position, and your shoulder pops out of place. Just be mindful of that. Hey, it's Fabian. Hey, good. Sorry about that. Excellent. It's fine. Just joined us. Yeah, all good. Fantastic to see Fabian here. This is the live feedback. So they were saying before that yeah, just be mindful of the front shoulder. If we go back to the video, we'll go back and see what I'm talking about there. So if we watch the neck shot process, so that, like I said, that is a very nice alignment there. Arrow is pointing straight. If you're shooting straight ahead, if it expands and releases, that's a sweet, sweet shot. But unfortunately, there's that movement there. I'd rather would see Fabian bend at the waist to get that alignment rather than drop the front shoulder, because the wrist now, and you feel this a lot more with a heavier bow, you will feel that the bow will be pushing through your arm and up the shoulder here, and this part will feel very tender after a prolonged session. I'd rather see, if you go back about 10 seconds, there we go, that's a bit more, let's go forward a bit, sorry. There are shortcuts to watch out for now. There we go. We can do frame by frame. There we go. 5-second frames. Let's go here. So let's go back a few seconds. Let's do here. So this is good shoulder alignment here. So you can see we're starting a little above the center line. The shoulder has been placed. It's a nice little valley here. That's a good thing for now. You want this little dimple in your shoulder. So this is good so far. And if you're shooting at this point, this is a really nice process. That's okay. This to me is a little misaligned. So this shoulder is a little high, this one's a little low, and then we get to the shot and it gets a little lower. This is suboptimal. You can still do a good shot process, but I find from personal experience, this will kind of push the front shoulder a bit much. I'm not sure you have any shoulder pains or aches up here, Fabian, but this may be something to consider. So I'd rather see you bend a little forward for shooting a low target, and that way you maintain correct form and alignment through the shot instead of having to adjust by moving your hand. That's what I think here. Otherwise, you have the right motions. The back tension is good, the scapula comes out of place nicely. Just bear in mind that if you drop the bow, you also risk losing back tension. And again, you feel this more with the heavier bows as well. I want to just do a quick check on the clicker control. So the muscles are good, the tension and the motion is good, and it's mostly the alignment of the shoulder which I'm kind of watching out for. And some shots you struggle more than others. So I want to see, I can't zoom in right now, but I want to see this clicker come through nicely. Given that you've done like 12 shots, I'm not really being too picky. Let's see this shot. That was a pretty clean shot. For those watching, like, there are a couple of things to watch out for. Like I said before, watch out for the smoothness of this side on the right with the drawing arm, but also watch out for this side. As a coach, I'm watching one thing at a time. So at the moment, I'm watching the clicker side to see how smooth that is. Ooh, so you can see the bit more of a strain there. That's okay. Now the distance is pretty good. But one thing to watch out for is you can just see the tip of the arrow there. One thing to watch out for is how far it creeps forward. Because if you find yourself, especially when you put the bow down and you're aiming lower, you might find yourself losing the exact length. So it kind of shifts a little forward and it feels a bit hard to get back at full draw and expand through the shot. That was pretty clean, by the way. So generally he's doing quite well. That was clean as well. Good control there. Just watching this again. Bit of move in the last shot there. There's a slight flinch. He's very consistent in this process. Because you probably watch what I'm watching now. Every time he does it correctly, you can see that. Oops, sorry. You can just see the glint of the arrow point just behind the clicker. And I think this is really consistency here. Right there, good. Slightly hard on the release, but a good shot. Good consistency. It'll still bang the arrow in the right position. There. That was a slightly harder shot there. A bit hard to get through. Good. Nice. That was clean. Well done. In. That was pretty good. Probably was the best shot, but still a good shot. Clean. That was good. As much as I talk about shoulder alignment, process is just as important. And the process here is quite consistent. This is actually pretty good. So in terms of your shot rhythm, ooh, that one's a harder one. Actually, let's talk about that one very quickly. So if you go to this one, the shot rhythm is okay, but watch the arrow point. It's not as consistent. So normally with this point, you can see that glint of the arrow tip. This one might be, look, this is really nitpicky, but it might be about 2 millimeters away from his normal anchor point. So this is so subtle, but normally by this point the draw, that appears. So that's come a little later. So you get through it nicely, but it's a bit more hesitation to shot. Just a slight bit. That's good. You can see that distance there. This process is very consistent. And this is a good educational video. You can see my process. You see that wasn't as clean. And the shot wasn't as clean either. So it matches up. So we go back a few seconds. So when we get to his full draw. Was it the shot? Was the next shot? It was this one. So when we get to the full draw, just watch the arrow point. You see there, that's his full draw. So that's the anchor point. Not quite the same distance. And then he gets in there, he comes through. Still good shot. It's a decent shot. Nothing wrong with this. See you next one. There we go. Good distance. So he's doing a nice physical check. So he knows based on the feeling in his back that he's drawing him very consistently, and that is good process. This is good tension. This is looking really nice. Let's see the front view. See a better angle of the arrow point there, and see perhaps a little better why I don't like the high elbow here. So he's following his jawline. So this is not too bad. You can see why it's weird. Alright, the back, it kind of shows the angle of the arms. This to me is a little off. So the arm's pointing downwards and that one's pointing down. This doesn't feel like the most natural position for the body. I mean, optimally, I'd rather see, I mean, obviously you can't shoot at a high target from where he's based at, right? But I probably want to see this arm higher, and therefore this arm slightly lower. But because it's aiming downwards, there'll be some compensation. But I'd rather see him lean forward at the hip rather than have this off-center alignment, because it's very hard to load efficiently and not feel shoulder pain. It's a little higher there. So I think as a general observation, again, we can trace the alignment of the arm there. If you go through the front, that goes below the grip. If there's any quick recommendation for you, Fabian, I'd say probably drop the elbow a bit in your shot process. And that's just shooting with one eye, by the way. 2 eyes is what most people train for. I'm not sure if you're left eye dominant, but one eye aiming is unorthodox these days. It's a nice bow. John was pointed out. So it's got the VR with stabilizers too. Oh, nice. But procedurally, his process is really good. So he's been very consistent there. That was a little further out than before. So this could be a slower shot. So look at the previous shots. And yeah, like as a coach, you have to be so nitpicking these things. Well, this is the benefit of the video. You can see that's alright. Nice smooth through the click up. You don't want to pause. You want to be nice and smooth. I think the next shot was what it was a little harder. So we go through the next shot. Oh, that's alright actually. No, that's the previous shot. So yeah, like you don't want to hang on to the click for too long. As long as you get through cleanly, you're alright. That was a little further out there. Takes a bit more time getting through. Yeah, a bit more struggle there. And you feel it. You feel this when it's not quite right. That's pretty good. Nice and clean. Should be in. Done. it's easy to predict on a consistent shot process. Just be a nice shot. Click. A bit of movement in the front arm, I think there. That's further out. Harder shot. You can see there. See, that's exactly what we can predict. So you can see what people. I want to make a quick point. I think Fabian. Like, I spent a lot of time on Fabian. Apologies for those who don't like seeing half naked men, but it's just a nice way to demonstrate this, because people keep on thinking that the clicker just replaces the archer, and it doesn't. The thing with the clicker, which is so important, is that you need a very high level of consistency. The clicker will simply tell you when you've reached that consistent point, the length, but getting there is the hard part. When you're a few millimeters off, it completely changes the feeling of the shot. People who shoot barebow don't have this crutch, but they also don't have the benefit of having precision consistency. So they have to basically go through a process where it's good enough. With the clicker, you have to be perfect. There is no alternative. And if you are even a few millimeters off, it feels like a bigger effort to complete the shot. And you can see in these sequences where Fabian goes through and he's a millimeter off or 2 millimeters off, the complete process is much more difficult to finish. Now, that's a very good demonstration. I don't live stream War Thunder, by the way. I don't think people are interested in watching it, especially arcade. No one cares about that. Alright, let's see a bit more Fabian shooting. So again, it's very consistent. I would question marks over the one-eyed aiming. I like to assume there's a good reason why, but generally try to recommend 2 eyes. This is a nice angle. Again, this is a great form check video. Very comprehensive. That was a slightly harder shot there. So we're just watching for the contact point. So we compare 2 different anchors here. So let's see this shot. So he has this particular point he touches. That's the harder shot, but nice clean release. Let's see if he touches the same spot. That's pretty consistent. That's a harder shot there. I've got a feeling he's like drawing to his clicker point there. Otherwise, everything looks nice. I mean, it's nice grip here. Good contact on the nose. It really pushes it in. You can see there's a bit of a struggle there, and it's nice to see this topless as good as it sounds. You can see the muscles really work here. It's I'm not sure, I can't remember how long Fabian's been shooting. It's only a 24-pound bar. I say only because 24 pounds is relatively light, but everyone's going to start at 24 pounds. It's going to feel heavy for everybody on the first shot. Okay, so this is going to be a fairly normal process. It's a bit of effort there in the shot, and that's what I mean by shoulder alignment. Right, I feel that if he dropped his arm a bit, it might be more efficient to get through, but otherwise it's okay. It's really making the right muscles work. It's good expansion. It's got the elbow behind his head. These shots are a little tougher. That's a long hold too, so a little harder there. And I think my thing's lagging. There we go. Whoops. All right, I've desynced. Gotta fix this. Yeah, my computer's lagging a bit. What's going on? Got a black screen now. Alright, computer lag. Yeah, let's just give it a few seconds to calm down a bit. I'll read chat. I'll try to read chat in the meantime. I've got a couple of things running in the background, I think. Oh, this is working fine. Alright, I think I've recovered. Nice to see that, Fabian. Yes, you're wearing pants. Very good. Indeed. I think we'll finish this one. I think it's the last few shots. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, you're shooting 1 meter above the ground, so it's a fairly low target. Good angle too. great clicker point vision. You can see the low target there. So, now like I said, if you lean forward and bend at the waist, that might be better for your shoulders than aiming downwards. And yeah, interesting to see if you're left eye dominant. Because normally you use two eyes. Otherwise, your process is pretty consistent. Yeah, I do feel that that's a little too high for you. The back shoulder, even aiming downwards, it's a little too high relative to your bow arm. Because the result is that you have a pretty big break between the arrow line, which should be going through your arm, and the position of the elbow. Otherwise, that's a good contact point. That was more of a flimsy release there, but otherwise pretty good. So, what are your thoughts, chat? What do you think? Interesting sequence. Yes, exactly, James. I missed some of the chat there. I'm going to go for a quick through, but yeah, you can see the anchor changes with the bow. When he lowers based on the shoulder, he needs to unbend the waist. Chai latte, by the way, in case you're wondering. Yeah, okay. How are we going, chat? Oh, David Novak, how are you? I see you there. Fabian has checked in, of course. David made a point there. So just early in the chat there, David pointed out that he might look like he's anticipating the shot. This can happen easily, very much with archery, especially when you use a clicker. It's very easy to get into the trap of anticipating when the clicker will go off, and that's something that's not good. You want the clicker to surprise you. You get used to the feeling of when you should let go fairly easily, but at the same time, like I said, you have to let it surprise you. So yeah, try not to anticipate the shot too much, because you definitely feel it to be wrong. It's kind of weird sometimes. All right. Kusao, I can't tell you about the M106 Junsing bow. I haven't used it. And like I said to you, you're awesome. I don't stream War Thunder, so I'm not interested in doing that. Good. Procrastinations. Good luck with that. Can't help you there. Yeah, so my general feedback for Fabian. There are a couple of things. So let's go through what we've observed so far. So the positives. So what worked well? What worked well is, I think the shot process is very consistent for the most part. Considering the machine for about 9 months, you've probably built a pretty good routine to your shot process. So that would make sense. I think you're doing fairly well for someone shooting for 9 months. So yeah, process is fairly consistent. I was quite happy to see that. And you can see that when people have built a good routine, a good shot sequence, it becomes predictable and it becomes easy to diagnose inconsistencies or variables in your shot process. That's why I can watch your clicker and tell you what's wrong. People who are shooting erratically and having poor development or disturbed or disruptive development will be hard to predict, because people will shoot randomly or differently each time. So you have enough consistency to basically generate a good grouping and have very good results. And it's about kind of fine-tuning quite a few parts. So process is good. Your clicker length and control, it's generally very good. And I'm nitpicking like a few millimeters. Millimeters is like, it's hard to be that perfect. So the fact that you have that kind of level of control is good. So, and your back tension is good too. So you're coming through nicely with your back tension, the shoulders are working fine. So there are a lot of positives in your shot process. Where I think you can be better, or what will work better, is I think the main thing is watching the shoulder alignment. You might be shooting differently at your range, so that you have further targets or more level targets. It's a bit easier to shoot at a target that is level, or we have to aim upwards, because it forces the shoulder to go down. When you're aiming at a lower target, it's more tempting to drop the bow arm and therefore lift the shoulder up like that. Whereas when shooting at a longer target or further target, you tend to aim higher, which naturally drops down this shoulder here. So either you lean backwards, and therefore the line's good, or for some people they might lift the bow upwards. In this case, in both cases, this shoulder drops and this shoulder also drops. So that way you have this nice line. But when you're aiming at a lower target, I think it's important to remember this shoulder alignment. So you must have this line going downwards rather than dropping it down this way. So when you're doing this, that's not the best idea. Okay, so if look at it from a side view, try and squiggle here, side view. So if you do, got a chair in the way. Yeah, okay. So if we do this, you can see the problem. I'm exaggerating for the camera here, but you can see the problem with the shot process. When you're in line, looking that way, when you're in line, this is good shoulder positioning here. And then clean follow through. Ouch, shoulders. But if you do this, you're expanding this way, you're pushing that way. It puts a bit more strain here. That's why I would recommend for anyone shooting low targets, you come in here and then you bend at the waist that way. Okay, so you clamp it here, bend down, you bend around, then you do that. So that's my general feedback. Nice shooting process. Yeah, I'll go for it, Shinji. I'm short on content today, although we did watch Fabian for like half an hour. So, by the way, Fabian, fantastic video. That's what I say. Like, I get a lot of form check videos, and these are like, 2 shots or 1 shot. It's very hard to analyze, but having a nice 10-minute sequence made it really easy to track your pattern. So well done. Keep on working your form. I think you're looking really well. And I think if you just watch your shoulders, you'll find yourself shooting more efficiently. You'll grow quicker. I think overall doing quite well. Okay, well done. Yep, Shinji, feel free to email me. If you're not sure what the email, just type in chat to my channel email. Chuck it into this thing. If you want to send to me, go for it. I might have a look at it today. Otherwise, we might do it next time. Bing. Okay. Alright, so that's my official email for the channel. If you want to send me videos now, go for it. I'm going to go to another video at the moment. I'll do some quick check in the chat here. And Fabian didn't point out that he is slightly left-eyed dumb, which might explain the one-eye shooting. Like I said, one of the things which I feel that people don't quite do right when doing feedback online especially, is people judge superficial things. They'll say, oh, your anchor's wrong, oh, your eyes should be open, so on. For me, it should be more about why are you doing this? Not do it this way, but why are you doing it this way? So there has to be a good reason why. So it's nice to find out these things. And it's good to share this as well. Always, as archers, whether you're an instructor or a coach, just an archer, don't be in a situation where you want to tell someone how to do things. There are too many people in archery who have a self-righteous, do-it my way attitude. You see them on the range, they'll look at your equipment, they'll look at the way you shoot and think, oh, you're doing it wrong. And look, it's a mentality which is not helpful to you or to the person learning, because the person who you might be shooting differently to you might be a better shot, and it might make their system work just as well as your system. So take this as an opportunity to open a dialogue, but don't push someone to do it a certain way. Now, if I was a coach, I am a coach, and I'm teaching someone at my club, and they're doing something which I think is wrong, I will tell them. But it's not like I'll say you're doing it wrong. It's more like, well, why are you doing it this way? And if the reason why they're doing it isn't a very good reason, then it's something that you might encourage them to change. An example, one of our club shooters, he has a habit of just pulling you in and letting go right away. There's no anchor points. Basically, he uses a glove for his Olympic bow, which is something which is unconventional. He normally uses a tab. And the reason why I say the tab is uncomfortable. So in that case, I find the reason to be not very good. So I encourage him to use a tab, but I can't force him to use a tab. The problem becomes more that he's shooting poorly with a glove, but he doesn't feel comfortable using a tab, even though he has potential to shoot better with a tab. So it's hard to, again, strong arm someone to shoot a particular way, but at all points the thing should be a dialogue. For someone who's observing form, you should be asking questions, not giving statements. Rather than saying you're doing it wrong or you should be using both eyes, ask why you're using one eye. And if the person doesn't have a reason why, and actually I want to learn the right way, then that's where you give them feedback. So that's why I don't like assuming things about people. It's more about finding out why people do certain things. Okay. Hello to Perry Dillo and Fire Clown, who's just joining us, and SNH Sisters Forever. So let's go to another one. I think Shinji's going to send me one very soon, but we'll go to a different video. Now, thank you to Fabian again. So the next one we'll go to Edric, and this one's a very different video. I love this one because this one is an Eastern bow. Not East as in the Eastern Arrow Company, but this is the Chinese style archery. This is a really nice sequence to look at. Look at it's got the quality up here. Oh, it's 360 only. That's fine. It's good enough. I can deal with potato quality. Ah, there we go. Good question there. Is a tab better than a glove? The answer is it depends on what you're doing. Okay. Now, I would generalize. I've made a video on this. Search up tab or glove. It's easy to find sort of thing. But in general, the reason why people prefer one over the other is because a glove is something which you can keep on your hand. So if you're in the field or you're hunting, you don't want to muck around with tab. Tab, you drop, you lose. That's really bad. Gloves are good for practical. Gloves are practical. Tabs are flimsier, so you have to take them off, put them back on. It's kind of rough to kind of play around with, but it gives you generally better protection. So there's normally thicker tabs, and it gives you a smoother, cleaner surface to release from. So a glove will conform to your fingers, and the leather will match your finger contours. That isn't necessarily a good thing. A tab provides a flat surface which allows you to slide off the string. So, generally, a tab will feel smoother to release and be more consistent. A glove will be easier to use. And that's why many people will err towards the glove. They have a preconception, a notion of archery as using gloves, because that's what archers do, historically and so on. So you have gloves which look cooler and they feel nicer. But the thing is that when you're shooting in a target competition where you need precision and consistency, the glove might not do it for you. Gloves move a lot with the leather being conforming or being distorted by the string and through constant wear and tear. The tab is going to be fairly consistent, and the leather surface will keep its shape, and a good tab will last for a long time. So yeah, like I'm not saying a tab is better, but for target shooting, tabs are pretty much universally used. The only people who use gloves for target shooting are traditional shooters who want that traditional feel of a glove, whereas a tab is very much a better option for target shooting. In the field, tabs aren't very practical. Alright, so let's go back to Edric over here. So I've got the thing set up. Edric is shooting a Chinese bow. So we'll see some of the Manchu style archery. So let's have a watch here. By the way, let's just watch first. I love this setup, by the way. This is something we all practice when doing Chinese archery. It's very close shooting. Only one arrow, and that way you don't break arrows. It's all about the form here. So let's watch Edric shoot. And I love this. This is almost comical because this is why you do this training. You shoot, you pull out, you shoot. This is so much different to shooting 70 meters and having to walk to get your arrows. This is very practical. So this is the Manchu style of archery, or something derived from that. I believe Edric is I think he's reading Gao Ying, but it's also incorporating other style methods which are smoother. So I believe he's using a method which is similar to an inchworm. So he draws as he lifts the bow. And I believe this is a 20-something pound bow. I can't remember the draw weight. 40-pound bow. Never mind. That's a pretty decent bow length. Bow weight. 40-pound bow. What's the sequence again? Nice. That's a smooth shot, by the way. I do like the control. A lot of people struggle with the heavy draws and the overdraws especially. So the fact that it's got this nice process. This is very much a rote learning exercise. This is reinforcing good form over and over again. I think this is a nice demonstration of this style of archery. Very nice. Very nice. I'm not going to slow it down. I think just watching the elegance and the motion is very important here. Let's do one more. Very nice. Now, to me, like, there's nothing wrong with this process. I think this process works nicely. There is something I'll probably watch out for, especially from the other angle. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a nice process. So a couple of things. Watching the grip, that's nice grip there. For those wondering why the grip might be different, people used to ask me, like, why do you death grip on the horse bows, but not on the trad bows? Horse bows and the techniques used of horse bows is different because you need to have the weight in a different part of your hand. With a traditional bow, look at my sage over there, but with a traditional bow, you want to set the weight here because you don't want to grip the riser or you do a very light grip. You got a V shape, the bow sits here because the modern bows are designed with pistol shaped grips which allow you to put the pressure on this part of the hand. Plus you have the cutout, so you have the less of a artist paradox effect. So the modern bows are designed to be shot like this. Horse bows don't have that shape. You can still shoot like this, but the pressure will come to the wrong part of your hand. So with a lot of the Eastern bow techniques, you actually want the pressure not on the fleshy part of your thumb in a V shape, but more towards the base of your hand. So you have the principle of bone on bone is still the same. But instead of going bone on bone through here and coming through this way, you're coming through with the base of the palm. That's kind of what the Eastern styles do. That's why you see people grip like this. And one of the tips that people talk about is having a hand-shaped grip. So imagine you're shaking someone's hand and you're putting more pressure on the bottom fingers rather than top. The Western styles, the top fingers, or you have no pressure at all basically. So you basically hold here, or you grip like this. The Eastern style, you kind of grip more like that. So a lot of the bow grips you might see from Turkish styles or other Eastern styles actually have no finger because you're resting on this side here for one, and you might see someone point that way. So you're kind of holding a bow like that possibly, or they might hold it like that, or there might be some variation of therefore. Okay, so it might be the eagle claw, so on. So there are different variations on the grip, but generally speaking, you want more pressure here, which is why that bow grip is desirable for this style of archery. And if you're not familiar with Eastern archery, it's something which might kind of put you off a bit. But let's get back to our viewership here. So I like this grip because as you can see that the pressure or the tension goes through the base of the palm there, and it goes through his arm. So this is good. Good alignment here. It's doing a good job of doing that. So well done to Edric there. Arnis had a point there. The other point is the anchor point. Okay, because most of my viewers in the chat are not too familiar with the Eastern styles, the Manchu style and a lot of Eastern styles like the Koreans and the Japanese have what you might call a floating anchor. And that is the principle of an Eastern anchor, and not every Eastern style does this, but the long draws is you rely on the shoulder alignment to feel where the anchor will be. For many modern Western style shooters, you sacrifice power and length for consistency because it's easy to be consistent when you touch a point in your face. For many trad shooters, it might be here in the corner of your mouth or on the cheek, or for the Olympic archers down here with a kisser button over the string alignment there. So it's easy to go wham here and be consistent and stretch and power through. but you end up with a weaker shot. And you can use a stronger bow, yes, of course. But historically, you wouldn't do this. This is not a historical shooting style. This is a modern shooting style. Now, with the a lot of the Asian styles, the principle is you want to go as far as you can. And this actually makes a lot of sense. I'll make a video about this at some point in the future. But the idea is that instead of having to draw and touch a place in your face where you have accuracy, you want to feel you draw to the point where your shoulders pop into line. Alright? Try doing this. If you watch this, try doing it. If you've got a stretching band, use a stretching band. Otherwise, just imagine doing this. Just basically go as far as you can past your shoulders and to a point where you can't go any further. That's your anchor point. That's why you see Japanese archers who do judo. They go very far back. Different grip, by the way, but they go very far back. They go around here, and they go like way back. And the point is you go as far as you can, and then you release. Because naturally, if you can't go further back, then that's your anchor point. It's almost similar to a compound bow. A compound bow has the wall. You can't pull back any further once you get to your draw length. That means you can go wham there, hold it there, and do the shot. So a traditional Eastern style with the floating anchor, this isn't a random point in space. This is actually the maximum length that your body can pull back. And the way Gao Ying teaches this is that you are judged on your ability to achieve full draw. If you can't do a full draw, then you're not a good archer. Right? It's kind of funny because when you think of archery as you got to hit the target, but in Gao Ying's military manual, like he talks about the stories of people in villages who are poorly trained, who can't achieve full draw. They can shoot well to begin with, but over time they lose the ability to reach full draw. One, because of power, two, because of alignment and back tension and shoulder alignment and so on. There are many reasons why they can't achieve so. But the mark of a competent archer is the ability to pull the bow back. And in fact, there are many records of examinations for officials who need to pull back a bow to pass their exam. And you have like history, you have like philosophy, and so on. But you need a military art, and one of that is using a bow. And being able to pull a bow back like that is the test. So to answer Answer's question, there is an anchor point, but it's achieved through a different way compared to Western archery. Western archery relies more on a physical reference point on the face, and a lot of thumb draws might say draw at the cheek or draw at the ear. And the same for longbow archery; they'll kind of often draw at the ear. But the floating styles will be more based on your shoulders. Once you pop your shoulders out to the maximum length, you can't go any further. That is where you know you're in the right place. So if you ever wonder why Japanese archers do this, or Korean archers, or Manchu archers, they do in fact have an anchor point, but they achieve that through a physical feeling. If you think about this in a practical point of view, why this is a good thing historically is, I want you to imagine this. Imagine you're actually in battle. So when you're fighting in battle, you're under duress. There's stress, you're being shot at, you might be running, you might have a high heart rate. Are you going to achieve the same precision by touching the same point in your face, right? This is the problem with, for example, marksmanship or snipers. They can't run and then do a perfect shot. They have to relax. So in a high stress situation, a precision movement is a terrible idea. So the idea of drawing to a particular point in your face and expanding and shooting is not going to work. You need to have a bigger motion that you can do under duress. And this is why with horse archery, a typical horse archer technique draws towards the chest, not the face. Because you're riding a horse, you're not going to draw and kind of smack yourself in the face with your hand while shooting from horseback, right? So you don't really anchor your face when shooting from a horse. You kind of draw towards this area. So basically, it's instinctive shooting. It's easy to go wham, 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 rather than riding and going, aim very carefully. No, if you're riding a horse, you can go draw, shoot, draw, shoot, draw, shoot. So these same techniques are similar in foot archery for these Eastern styles, because many Eastern styles are derived from foot archery. Basically, anywhere the Mongols went, that style was used as well. So again, when you're under pressure, it's easy to basically pull as far back as you can and let go. If you try to be delicate and you're under stress, you're going to miss. You're going to underdraw. You're going to flop around. Whereas when you train yourself physically to memorize that this is my draw length, if your blood's pumping and you're fighting in battle, you can go max draw and let go. It actually makes a lot of practical sense. That's my analysis. Now, is this based on any historical validation? Probably not. But it makes sense, doesn't it, right? This is my analysis of like Eastern and Western styles. Modern styles sacrifice power and practicality for precision, whereas ancient styles need practicality, whether from foot or from horseback. You also need power. You can't get a power shot with this unless you're using a very high draw weight. That's why when you have like crossbows, the medieval crossbows, like the steel crossbows used during, say, the 100 Years' War, for example, or like post 100 Years' War, they might have had like a 1,000 pounds of draw weight. But the draw length is about like that far, right? So you have basically no length. Like the whole weapon's about that long. You don't really have a long length to work with. So you have 1,000 pounds, but it might have less penetration power than a longbow, which is like 150 pounds. But they have a very long draw length. So that's why it's important to keep this in mind. Power is very important. You're shooting at people wearing armor, not necessarily like steel armor, but some kind of armor, right? Padded or some kind of gambeson. Or layered armor, so you still have to penetrate. And of course, in sport archery or target archery, you're scoring points. You don't need to penetrate. Anyway, that's my little sidetrack there. Good questions from chat, by the way. Really awesome. Jun, send me an email to send me the video in my email. I'll happily look at it. It is 3:30 a.m. by the way, but I'm very happy to have a look at the video if you send me to it like right now. Thanks so much for sending me before. Thank you, Diego, by the way. I'll check that in a moment. So, I sidetracked. I was still giving shout out to Edric, but if you can see Edric's form, he does this very well. So, if you watch the shot process, this is the inchworm technique. So, normally with Manchu style, you actually start higher and you draw back. The inchworm, actually no, this is kind of half-half, not really inchworm. Inchworm, you draw from the ground upwards, basically. That's the basic definition. So this is, like I said, good process. Really happy to see the process here. And again, that there's a name for this. I just can't remember right now. But this is very good practice. Definitely watch Justin Ma, by the way, and his channel. He does it very good as well. And the whole point here is it's a good physical process. I think for here, as far as I'm concerned, this is a good process. Nothing here looks wrong. It's good practice on his thumb draw technique. And that's fine. So basically the recognition is the physical alignment of the shoulders. He's drawn past his ear and his shoulders will tell him he's in the right place. If there's anything I might watch out for, in fact, I want to watch the back view. I'll just give you a moment here. If you watch the back view for Edric, we'll actually see, I think, a bit more of the story. I'm just going to load the video. And this is a bit further back. So it's not that close. We can see a bit more. I think this is the end of his session, so it's not as clean. But let's have a quick look here. That's a nice point of view too. Nice. Now this is good power. Using a 40-pound bow, nice long bow too. Horsebows are short, but this is a foot bow. And this is a good. I mean, I like the power here. Talk about back tension expansion. Gao Ying teaches back tension as much as anybody else, and the way they do it, the same motion. And this is we can understand, people, right? As much as we have favorite styles, archery is the same. All archery is the same. Basically, techniques overlap like 90% or something. It's like only 10% difference between different styles. It might be different anchor point or different equipment, but nearly all archery is the same. You need back tension. You need good shoulder alignment. You need, the right alignment for everything. Like everything is the same. So I think what Edric is showing us here is basically what every archer needs to do, whether you're Olympic archer or bare bow hunter or a traditional Eastern shooter. These things are good. Now, I did say there's probably one thing to watch out for. And you won't see this. This isn't a flaw that he's doing, but it's a mentality that we tend to have, especially when shooting at close distance. And that is the idea of target panic. What can happen, especially when you only shoot at a short distance and you practice a rote motion, which is good, is that if you are conditioning yourself to release as soon as you reach your anchor point. This is a problem with being overbowed as well as newbies who haven't learned good technique. Now, Edric isn't doing this, which is why it's a good thing. But because I haven't seen him shoot, apart from this video, one of the things which I think that he should be careful of is if you always go through the same motion and you don't kind of aim, you might be triggering your release prematurely through a different stimulus. Now, Gaoying does teach aiming. It does teach you to estimate the target, and based on how far it is, you will adjust the point of your reference differently. But by shooting close distance, the form and process are excellent. I question though, is the release happening because everything feels right, or is this a physical trigger? Because if it's a physical trigger, if you release because it feels just tense here, or you're pulling back and letting go without really thinking about it, it's good physical practice. It gets the power and the strength conditioning in, but it doesn't guarantee a good shot because you still need to think of a way to be consistent, whether it's instinctive aiming or whether it's gap shooting. Gaoying's basically gap in a strange way. But yeah, like just be mindful of whether, and this is for those watching as well, for you, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, a lot of people will panic shoot. They will sometimes call it instinctive shooting, but it's not real instinctive shooting if you're actually releasing as soon as it feels right. That's not true instinctive. Instinctive is when you have a consistent process and you know you aim in the right spot physically. If you're letting go because this is kind of like, oh, it's too strong now, wait, let go, that's not instinctive shooting. And just be mindful that when you transfer from extreme close range shooting to like distance shooting, that's not going to work. You can't just go pull back, let go, and suddenly it magically flies toward the target. You actually need to aim. So just be mindful if you are shooting purely on a physical instinct or reflex. Quick sidetrack. One of my friends who used to, he started archery with me, but went very different pathways. He hasn't shot for several years. He bought some longbows and he came to our club for a quick practice session. And what I mean by target panic or like a reflex shot, a panic shot, is like we used to shoot together and we used to shoot like 50 meters together, and this is back when we were noobs. We couldn't hit the target, right? But after 3 years out, like he can't shoot more than 5 meters. He literally stands right next to the target. The target's right here, like it's this far away, and he shoots very much like Edric does. But it does because he has no confidence. And once he steps past 5 meters, he can't shoot. Okay, so he shoots 5 meters. He hits obviously in the middle of the target, just right next to it, like literally a meter away. Not in 5 meters. He's like 2 meters from the target because he's so afraid that he might miss a giant target, and he can't get himself away far enough to shoot with confidence. Everything breaks down. Like he can't. He will literally miss the target at 10 meters. At 1 meter, he's fine. At 10 meters, he misses, and that's actually a bit of concern. That's why, if you're conditioning yourself to shoot only at close distance, then you might find yourself having that panic shot where you cannot actually aim. You shoot only by physical feel, and that can be detrimental. But that's the sidetrack there. For Edric, I think he's looking really well. And yeah, I think you should keep it up. Good practice. Good process, good routine, and good power and tension. Especially with shooting Eastern styles, you can't be too soft on power. Western styles are more delicate. Eastern styles with the long draws need power. I think you're doing a good job there. And Rocket Fist, yeah, I agree. I think ultimately, look, one of my future videos will be like archery is the same. It's gonna be there are two things I want to argue. One, Olympic archery is good for a reason, and two, all archery is the same. The reason why I think Olympic archery is better isn't because the style or competition is better, but because Olympic archery is codified sports science. It's applied sports science. It codifies the most efficient way to use a bow and to get the right anatomy working. You only find that through sport archery. Traditional archery tend to teach by rote and feel. So people who write traditional archery books will tend to write recommendations how they shoot, not necessarily how other people shoot. Whereas coaching manuals for sport archery will have a better template, a better roadmap on how someone can go from beginner to advanced. Everything from the equipment to the technique and every step in the shot process. So every how-to archery book will give you a guide to shoot. But I think Olympic archery or modern sport archery has the most efficient and biomechanical methods. That doesn't mean they are the best methods for every kind of archery, but we have a better understanding of archery because of the way Olympic archers train. Traditional archers will tend to be more like, this is how it works for me. Sport archery tends to be more like, this is how everybody can shoot. Not the way they have to shoot, but it's more efficient. But yeah, that's one of my contentions. The second one is, in the end, all archery is the same. Look, you can ask Justin Ma, who does the Chinese archery in Georgia, and he'll say the same thing. Olympic archers are doing what Gao Ying taught. It's the same thing. Back tension, expansion, anchor points. We're doing the same thing. Different bow, different technique, but it's the same process, and that really is the same thing. And Rocket Fist makes a good reference to the video, Roy Mears. Like he gave an English longbow to the African Hadza archers. They've got a different technique compared to other shooters, but it's absolutely correct. You can give an English longbow to an African tribal, hunter, and they'll shoot fine. And this is what people get pissed off about, right? They're saying, "Oh, Olympic archers can't shoot. They can't shoot with the side or stabilize or whatever." Yes, they can. Look, I can shoot fine with the bow. Like I need to practice more with other styles. But if you give someone who trained in English longbow a Manchu horsebow or a Manchu footbow, they can use it. It might not be exactly the same as everybody else, but they can still use it fine. So archery is the same. If there are any nuances, they'll have to pick it up and learn. But the function of the bow is the same no matter what bow you use. Good talk there. So let's go to one more video. It's from Diego. I think Shinji, this is for your video, isn't it, right? So, oh, two more. Hey, Jun's here. Ah, two more. God, it's like 4 a.m. here. Alright, let's do it. I know we're here. Let's open it. Let's see what we've got. I might do, like, you sent me multiple videos. Oh, I can't play this one. What have you done here, Diego, Shinji? I've got one video that works. No, I don't. Let's down. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? Let's go to my drive. Let's see if I can actually for some reason I can't open it. I'll refresh my browser. I'll go to my drive as well. We'll see if actually this works. No, for some reason it won't. It's MP4 file, so it should work. But for some reason it doesn't want to work. Well, that's fascinating. Wrong drive there. Why doesn't it want to work for me? Alright, let's see if we can play from drive. It doesn't work in drive either. It's an MP4 file. I can download this hopefully. Oh, okay. It's like an 800 meg file. Wow, dude. What did you do? So sorry, Diego. Oh, Shinji. Like, wow. What did you send me? That's an 800 megabyte file. Did you attach this, dude? Dude, that's how Google Drive works. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, I got it working now. All right, let's go form check front. This might work for me. Okay, I have to open it through by clicking the link rather than the preview. Okay. Alright, we've got it working. Let's delete from my drive. That's a huge file. 800 megabytes, ouch. I mean, like, my average video, which is like 15 minutes, about 1 gigabyte. So this is a 5-minute video, which is almost as big. Dude, what did you do to me? Alright. I'll answer the question in a moment, Martin. 720p, yeah, still, that's a huge file, 720p for 5 minutes. I do like 1080p, and it's huge. I mean, like 1 gigabyte for like for 10 minutes. It's alright. I've got it working here. All right, Diego. Oh, you're a left-hander. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's have a watch. It's 4 a.m., guys. I'm getting a little weird here. Let's have a watch. I finished my chai latte. It's all cold now. You can see that, guys? I think we're good. Don't have headphones on. But we should see. Now we see this. Now we see this. We're good now. Alright. Alright. Oh man, I've seen this long ones for a long time. I don't think that there's the biter ones. I think they are. They used to be very trendy back in the 1980s. Alright, let's have a look at this. Okay, interesting. We can learn a roll from this. I need my headphones for a moment. I find it's easy to listen to stuff. Okay. Interesting. This shouldn't be 800 megabytes. I'm kidding. I'm joking. That's alright. As long as it plays, it plays. Skip the video. Alright. Shot process. How long have you been shooting, Diego? It kind of helps me as a guideline. And, I'm curious how long you've been shooting for. Alright, let's talk through this video. I'm going to ignore the other ones for now. I think this is the one which tells us the most. 10 to 5? No, it's 10 to 4 at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at this. Oh, using the Xiaomi camera. Yeah, like it tends to be very uncompressed, which is good. You don't lose data, but ouch. The file size is huge, but it's okay. We'll make it work. So, let's talk through this in a bit more detail. Let's watch one shot together, because I think there are some consistent patterns we've got here. So, let's watch a bit more carefully. Are those spin wings? Hey! Oh, getting fancy, Diego. Getting fancy. Getting very fancy with me here. 6 months, and you're shooting with spin wings. Fancy. Alright, so the reason why I ask is, I'm guessing you shoot at around 6 months anyway, so it does confirm that. So there are certain things which, for those who joined us earlier, if you watched Fabian's video, Fabian's shooting for about 9 months, he does things quite well. I think at 6 months, I think Diego is also doing what people do at 6 months, so he's on track here. So, one thing which is typical of kind of this period of your learning is something which I might call it's a bit static or stiff. So, the reason why I point this out, let's go back to the headphone that's me. I put this out because people who are learning in the, let's say, 3 to 6 months, they are picking up the process and technique. So they will go through the motions, and the motions tend to come out as a little rigid. It's like you have, like, instead of having a smooth, silky process, it's like a really rough sandpaper. So instead of having, when you see the pro archers, they'll go very smooth in, anchor, aim, release, step. A learner like where Diego is at will be something like up, align, draw, release. So it's a bit more staggered, and that's okay when you're learning. So it's just a general point. As you become more confident and experienced in your shot process, things will smooth out. But for the moment, I mean, this is what I expect people to do. So it's a little stiff. Is that a bad thing? No. But there are some things you can improve with confidence. Let's see more the shot process. So I want to mention the draw for a bit here, and this is again a fairly typical sign of someone who's been starting out. So not a nice process. You got a slight tension there, which is great. Now this draw, again, nothing wrong with this draw. This draw is fine. It's a linear draw, comes in nice to his anchor point. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with this. But why am I pointing the draw out? The reason why I point it out is, again, it's to do with the idea of being a bit too delicate. Something which coaches will point out. Don't waste too much time in getting through the draw. I'm not sure what the draw weight is, but don't waste too much time in getting through the draw. Okay? So what will happen is, especially when using a heavy draw, you get tired. You can't go like that, because you lose energy. You fatigue more if you take your time. Basically, this point isn't so important where you have to take time doing this. What will drive the drawing process, or the draw step, is back tension and muscle engagement. Not so much the need to align the targets. A lot of people will go aim and keep it straight on target and draw while keeping the bow still. This actually isn't necessary. You are allowed to move as part of your draw process, as long as by the time you reach your anchor point, everything is finished. So you don't have to go up and then draw and then release. You are allowed to go up high, draw in, anchor, and bang. So don't feel you have to hold things still. Being steady is good. Being stiff is not good. You need to let your body work, not as a series of rods or planks, but as a chain, where each joint in your body, through your back, through your shoulders, through your elbow, is allowed to operate independently, but join together to form one movement. That's the idea. So, so far, we're doing okay. All these things are things you'll learn as you go along. Now, the next part is that release. So let's talk about this release here. So we've seen the draw before. So as we go through each step in the process, so he's going through all the motions correctly. You can see he tries to keep the bow still as he draws. That's not really necessary. And the reason why this isn't necessary is you tend to sacrifice back tension in order to maintain alignment, and that's not desirable. You want to have power, and that means you have to tell yourself, it's okay for this to move, as long as by the time you reach full draw, you keep it steady. So you don't have to keep the bow still all the way through. Okay, so what a lot of people recommend is you start higher. Okay, so you're drawing quite low, like below your chin. That's actually not what we tend to teach people shooting Olympic archery. So what we tend to do is to recommend you start at about eye level. So you lift the bow up and the drawing arm up to around your nose or your eye, and then you draw downwards into your anchor. And the reason why you do this is to help your shoulder alignment. All right, when you start this slow, the shoulder will tend to pop upwards. In this case, it doesn't really, so that's fine. but it's very hard to get that a good alignment when you start that low. When you go to a higher draw, it's a bit easier, okay? So, okay, I'm going to scoot back here. So, by starting low, alright, but you come up, you've dropped the bow down, and you draw straight from this point to this point. It's a static movement, which doesn't really encourage back tension as much. It's hard to maintain that with a low static draw. It also means that your shoulder has to be perfectly controlled, which in case it is, but it's very hard to do so. The reason why the higher starting point is desirable for Olympic style archery is it drops the front shoulder. That's one of the big benefits here. So if we start low, the shoulder stays in a raised position. So we're starting low, we draw back, the shoulder can stay here. But if I start higher, right? If I start up here at my eye level, you'll find that my shoulder is downwards. I should take my hoodie off. This is the Assassin's Creed hoodie, by the way. So we'll go to the shoulder view. Watch the shoulder. So if I start low, in, shoulder tends to stay high. We start higher, we can drop the shoulder in place, and when I come downwards, shoulder drops in line. You can do it both ways, but the reason why so many of the pro archers start high is because then that drops the shoulder. It's much easier to align the shoulder when you go down that way, rather than low and inwards. Something to keep it watch out for. Now that's it. The release is okay, by the way, but we'll see the release a bit more because I feel there's a slight jerk on the string, a slight pluck. That's what it feels like. So let's watch this next one. So okay, on the draw, I feel at this point, so Shinji or Diego, this is where I would imagine he would start the draw. This is not the sky draw. So he'll drop the bow first, and this is where most people start pulling it back. But he will lower the bow to target level and then draw it back. It's a little weird to actually lift the bow up high, drop it low, and then draw. It would make a bit more biomechanical sense to, once you get on target there, draw it back here. Now he doesn't, okay? That's why I'm pointing it out. So, I feel there is a bit of a lean back here. It might be the camera angle, going to be a little sideways. I feel there's a bit of a lean back here, so you might want to straighten up just a bit. And again, this might be, again, the arm being pushed upwards, and therefore you're leaning backwards. I feel there needs to be a bit more back tension in the shot. I'll watch a different angle later, but I feel that the shot's being triggered. There is a clicker, by the way. Wait, no? You have a clicker, but you're not using it. Is that right? Shinji, just double check for me. I think you would have clicker there, but you're not using it, as far as I know, because your arrow is out that way. You haven't cut the arrow yet. Okay. So, as you watch the next few shots, it's consistent at least. That's good. Yeah, this is a sign of no clicker usage, so that's normal. Well, I recommend you try use a clicker, and you can, because there's a clicker there, but you're not using it. Man, the things which coaches spot right. We are very nitpicky on things. Alright, so if you watch the next shot, the reason I pointed out is because I feel that the shot isn't being activated by the clicker. That means something else must activate the shot. And people who shoot with an Olympic bow with a sight often tend to not panic shoot, but release when they think the sight is on target and not when the body feels the control. So the result is when you tend to shoot with a lack of back tension, and I think this one kind of shows that. It's a bit of a limp shot. The hand goes backwards, but the back isn't really activating. Not from this angle at least. I'll check the other angle later. But I feel that you might benefit from using the clicker if you can. It's there. I'll probably draw sooner, yeah. Yeah, there's a clicker usage. Here I think the anchor is a little further forward. It's a little too loose. and it's a little limp there. So I feel that you can, a couple of things, straighten up a bit, start drawing sooner, anchor tighter, and activate your back muscles more. That's my quick feedback for this sequence. We'll double check the yeah. I'll double check the other views, which I now know work. Yep. Let's do. Give me several views there. Let's go for the back view. Thanks for labeling these things, by the way. How big is this file, by the way? All right. By the way, where are you based, Diego? This is a nice little feel you have there. Let's watch the back view. I recommend you use your clicker. Your clubmates might disagree, but I think it's time for the clicker. 6 months is a long time not to use one. I mean, we normally make them use the clicker sooner rather than later. But if the problem is... Oh, you're wearing a StarCraft 2 shirt. Hey, you're my favorite man now. Hey, now we're talking. Nice. That's a nice shirt. Oh, man. I could definitely use one of those. Anyway, what was I? Bow. Yeah, technique. Let's have a look. Yeah, you need more back tension. Even with the StarCraft 2 shit, you need more back tension. Yes, my friend, back tension is key here. So, like I said before, the same process. Not gonna worry about the draw too much. It comes a little low. So, like I said, this is not a good angle to see this. I feel that I'll show you when I would start drawing. Okay, so we watch you lift the bow. Because we can't sky draw. Start here. Start the draw. Lift the elbow to your eye level when you lift this up. So I would lift the bow a little higher. Your drawing arm should be at your eye level or nose level. And then once you start pulling the bow down, you draw. And you can see what I mean by you start very low in the shot. And the result of starting low is no back tension. You can see here, there's no back tension. So the shot is all arm activated. So you are aligning the sight with the target, and you will finish the shot with your arm. So you're moving your hand backwards to finish the shot, rather than your back tension. So you need to get the squeeze working together here. And I feel you should be using your clicker. That's my coaching recommendation. You've been shooting long enough to have consistency. It's time to actually start using it correctly. So if the longer you go without using the clicker, the more you ingrain this lack of back tension. So when you start using your clicker, it'll start ruining you because you won't know that. Look, when you use the click for the first time, it's gonna feel really weird. And you start straining yourself and feel really tired. And then you realize that for 6 months, you haven't been using the right muscles. And that's why I would generally push people to shoot with the clicker sooner. Because you will not know the feeling of a good shot. Right? So a lot of people can shoot for months, if not years, if you don't get that correct feeling. That's why we saw Edric before shoot with the Eastern thumb draw. He gets all the way back. We saw Fabian at the very beginning uses back very, very strongly. He used the clicker, powers it through. The shoulders might be slightly uneven, but the shot is very clean. It goes in very nicely. I do think it is time for you, my friend Diego, to shoot with a clicker. I think that would be the desirable outcome. So I think my feedback for you is a couple of things. I think you should start with your arm a little higher. So instead of starting down here, start up here. All right, you're kind of hiding your eyes. You can't see me. I can't see you. All right, so you're starting here, and you draw down like that. So that way you get the correct shoulder rotation around here. Draw it in like that. That's my feedback. Start higher. Higher usually means better back muscle engagement. It's just, you basically put yourself in the bow much cleaner. That's one really big thing. The second thing would be to draw a little sooner in your process. So when you get up here, don't sky draw. It's bad. very bad. But if you are lifting the bow up, as soon as you start lowering the bow, start drawing. Instead of going up and then down and then draw, that's the motion you want. The third thing is to use your clicker. Now's the time. I think you need to reinforce the feeling of correct back tension, correct muscle usage. As I said before, the longer you go without using your clicker, the more you have to unlearn, because at the moment you are conditioning yourself to shoot based on the sight placement as well as using your arm to finish. And that's actually not what activates the shot process for an archer. It's back tension. And if you don't use back tension, then you'll start using your clicker and you won't know how to use it. That's my recommendation. So thank you for the videos. That's a lot to learn from. But I think you're doing quite well. But I think the next step for you is to look at using a clicker. That's my recommendation for you. So gracias, amigo. Thank you for the video. Alright, we'll do one more before we head off to sleep. It's 4 AM right now. What the hell? Where'd that come from? Jun has sent me a video. We'll open this up. It's a 3-minute video. Is there sound? Let's have it out. I'll put headphones on. Jun. Hey, it's a TFT. Oh, guys, why are you doing this to me? So show me all these good bows. Alright, let's watch Jun. Okay. Let's flip over. There we go. And I believe using the eye patch, is that right? Or is that just a reflection in your glasses? Yep, okay, that makes sense. Very nice. Hey, bear bow too. Oh, clicker, never mind. I can't say it's a bear bow, there's a clicker. Never mind. In case you're wondering, those who are kind of wondering why I'm using a clicker, why clickers are important. In World Archery rules, you are allowed a weight on a bear bow, but you can't use a clicker. So in this case, technically speaking, the bow that Jun is using is not a bear bow. It's a freestyle Olympic recurve, even without the starter stabilizers. So, I imagine this is just practice or training, so I'm not worried about the rules. This is not a competition, but that's technically not a bear bow. Yeah, convince your friends, Shinji, use the clicker. But even if you don't use a clicker, at least get the process right. So I recommend starting higher, drawing down, power, shoot. Clicker will help you immensely, but sooner rather than later. Where was I? Yep, Asia Lhasa. Alright, back to our sequence. Jun, here we go. Damn, the TFT is a nice bow. So no sight, no weight, no stabilizer, just a clicker. Alright. So we're shooting with the lower anchor point, more so like the Olympic style, but not as low, although not as high as the bear bows. So let's see how it does this. Oh, by the way, nice pro tip for those who are wondering. There's a question about breathing. This isn't the breathing part, but this is a good pre-shot brow routine. The reason why this is good, and Jun, I'm not sure if Jun's doing this for this reason. But the reason why I think this is good is by breathing before you shoot. You breathe out. This is where your shoulders should be during your shot. And a lot of people shoot with very high shoulders, they get hunched up. This is a way to relax and get the shoulders level. This is a nice pre-shot routine. And if you can see if it keeps the shoulders straight. That's actually a really good way to start. Okay. This is a process we can look at in detail. This is a nice sequence. I mentioned shoulders. Shoulders are fine. Okay, good routine here. Well done, Jun. Build routine to your shot process. And that's one thing you do consistently here. By the way, I said before to Shinji, to Diego, start higher. And this is what I mean by starting higher. Don't feel afraid to lift the bow to your eye level and start drawing back. I mean, I reckon the elbow could be slightly higher, but it's just okay. But starting high means it's easier to get your back tension activated. Shoulders are in place. And we'll watch a few more. I think I know where Jun needs to work on the most. Mm. Oh, got a back view. Hey, nice. I do apologize if you see me videos. I don't quite see the whole thing. I do apologize if I missed the whole sequence, but apparently there's some nice angles here. All right, nice distance too. Good practice range. This is like a dream backyard. I was gonna ask, like, where are you based, Jun? I know you're in chat right now. We had Diego from Madrid before. It's a nice back view. Yeah, just gonna stop from over here. I reckon like if you're gonna start that high, lift the elbow as well. So not just the wrist, but the elbow should be a little higher if possible. But nice draw. The draw in face is nice. I'll talk about the release later, but if talk about Diego, if you're still here, watch Jun's draw. I think this is what you watch out for. Okay, so starting higher, and he draws as soon as he starts lowering the bow. That's a good process. So that's what you might want to do in your process, Diego. But I'll get back to Jun here. I think the next few shots are the same thing. So we'll see a pattern emerge, and we'll know what to do. Okay, it should be accurate too, by the way, bare bow. All right, so what we need to identify immediately. All right, I'm gonna put a bit. There's an ironic comment which I'll make here, and the comment is this: it's about the clicker. I think Jun knows. Oh, you're in California. I thought so. It looks very California. I thought I'd been to California once, but it looks like that. I went to San Diego. Funny enough. Okay. Diego and Jun. Oh, it's a reflection. You're not shooting one eye. Good. Okay. Diego and Jun. Diego, you should be using your clicker. Jun, you probably shouldn't be. This got a little reverse here, right? I gotta say this, Jun, your clicker usage. I don't think you're ready for a clicker yet. Funny enough, whereas with Diego, I think you are in fact ready for your clicker. Swap bows. give Diego your TFT. I know he's left-handed, but still. Okay, so the reason why I'm pointing this out, by the way, is I think that if those listening with sound, the click is going off prematurely. I don't think, Jun, that your draw is consistent enough to use the clicker at the moment. Now, we'll watch the scene again, and I'm gonna put my headphones back on because I can hear the click on this one. Order is very important. So let's watch the shot process again. From the start of the draw here. So like I said, elbow high next time. I think that'd be the best way to go. Right, so the click goes there. So you've clicked already. And if the click goes off, start the shot again. Don't finish the shot with the click prematurely going off. And this is nearly every shot you do. So there's clearly an issue with the draw length. Your clicker might be too far out. So move it in. Because when you reach full draw, click, there you go, clicks there. So you're not at full draw yet. This isn't your anchor point. Your anchor point is actually going to be a little further down. Now, I'm not sure whether you're aiming a bare bow, because there's no sight here, right? If you're going bare bow, you might have a higher anchor. If you're shooting with sight, there might be a lower anchor. You have this half point. This can still work for you. So I'm not saying this is wrong, but you might choose a more specific anchor. I feel there's too much float. We'll see more from the back view, I think. If you look at, I hope you can see this. Yeah, we can't, of course. I feel there's a bit too much of a gap between your hand and your jaw. I can't really see it from here. But if you look more carefully at your anchor, I feel it's a bit too far out. I feel you can come like a few inches closer to your jawline, and that way you've got more consistency. By the way, your elbow's fine here. This is a great elbow line. So for Fabian, if you're still watching this, this is a good T shape for your shooting style. So it's nice you've got a higher target. That's beautiful. It's luxurious. You've got a long field, a long backyard. But your stance is very good. Your arms are very good. Your elbow, your shoulders are very good. This is really nice, picture perfect form. The problem isn't the form, but it's more like your anchor point. I think this can be tighter against your jaw and a bit further back for a bit more muscle engagement. But the thing we've lost here is your clicker. So if you go to all your shots, your clicker's going off. So we need you to get you to use your clicker consistently. You train yourself to let go on the clicker. So if the clicker goes and you don't shoot, you're using the clicker wrong. So let's watch this shot. Click. That's not a good shot. So click goes. If you don't feel ready when the click goes, don't do the shot. Don't try to finish a shot when the clicker goes off. Click. Not good. Go here again, next shot. It's a nice routine you have. Click. So this is, I guess, the main lesson for you, Jun, is the click. You train yourself to release on the click. If you're not ready when he clicks, don't shoot the arrow. Let's start a game. That means I've got the feeling you need to put your clicker in. Oh, see, like you're anchoring here now, and the click goes off. And look at your previous shot. You're actually a bit further in, still clicks, right? Let's go back over here. Let's go to this shot. That's about right. So you're quite far in front of your face. So your draw length is actually longer than you think it is. Let me do this shot. So there's the click there. Click goes off. And you are this far in front of your face. You should be anchoring perhaps, your fingertips would be around here. Alright, where your lips are, kind of in line. Depends on your method. If using, I imagine you're going to use some kind of bare bow method. But if the click is going here, you've got around, what, probably 2.5 inches of draw to continue. And that's not including your expansion. You're going to expand, perhaps 1/2 inch with your back tension. So you can move this, like either get longer arrows or move the clicker inwards closer to your riser here. That way you've got more space to work with, because you're going through the clicker every time, and the result is you lose your back tension. The point of the clicker is to set the length so that you activate the clicker with your back muscles. If you draw and the clicker goes off, that means here you've lost your back tension. You can see the movement in your shot process. Click, and the chest has collapsed. You've lost the expansion, and the release is a limp release. So you go to the right follow through motion, but you finish the shot with your arm. So in this case, it's clicker usage. I recommend that you change the length of your clicker. Yeah, that is. So thank you, Joe. I wasn't reading chat before there. But your arrows are 1/2 inch too short. Sure. It might be more than that, even that. But yeah, you need to either get longer arrows or change your clicker distance, because that is going to be it's going to teach you really bad habits. You are conditioned to shoot when the clicker goes off. So if the click goes off and you don't shoot, and you wait, you hang on, and you shoot, then you might as well not use the clicker. You might as well just shoot normally, without the clicker in that case, and use the back muscles to feel the shot. You don't want to do that. So yeah, for you, clicker is going to be the stuff to change. Your clicker usage, you need to set the right length and use the right arrows and use the right muscles to finish the shot. If the click goes off and you haven't shot, start again. If you can't use the clicker with your current arrows, then get the right arrows or change clicker distance. That's what I would recommend. I don't want to be too harsh, but the point is that you don't want to shoot like this. It's going to really build bad habits in your shot process, in a lot of ways. It won't injure you, which is fine. I think the basic foundation form is good, but this is what I mean by bad clicker usage. If you want to see good clicker usage, Diego's video at the beginning of this live stream is excellent clicker usage. But your clicker usage needs to be kind of tightened so that way you don't have that. I'm gonna say you don't build a bad process in. So your pre-shot process with your breathing is excellent. Your drawing technique is very good, but the clicker is where everything falls apart. And I don't know if you feel any like mental reliance on the clicker, but if you are doubting your clicker, then your whole process will fall apart because you're not sure whether you're ready or not. So that's essential that if you do use the clicker, that you in fact set it correctly. Have someone help you set it up, or you have no one to help you, then buy longer arrows and kind of work from there. And this is the same advice for Diego. I know you're still here. You must set your clicker up correctly. That means you need to cut the arrow down for the right length, or move the clicker outward so you have that right thing. So yeah, you need to set clickers correctly. If you don't set them correctly, it will, in no uncertain terms, destroy your shot process. And this is the feeling, I think this is why your club mates are averse to using the clicker. Because when people don't use it right, it ruins them. Not physically, but it ruins their process. They can't shoot properly. And it's very hard to come back from that. But if you do it correctly, you shoot like a god. Alright, this is, you won't find an Olympic shooters that use a clicker, right? You have to use a clicker to get that level of consistency. If you don't set it correctly, you will shoot like crap. And there's nothing you can do about that, except remove the clicker. That I think, Diego, is your dilemma. And that is people around you are afraid of the clicker because they know it can go wrong. I had the benefit of working with a coach who used to work at national level, and he wrote part of the manual for coaching today that we use at Archery Australia. So I was taught quite well how to use the clicker, and I learned it quite quickly. Basically, as soon as I get the I got my bow, he said buy a clicker. I went, okay, sure. And I started using it pretty much right away because I had the same consistency. And Shinji, yes, I agree with you. If most people are newbies with unstable anchors, don't use a clicker. You can't use one. But with a coach, the clicker can be used to determine draw length. And this is where we have the clicker dilemma. Some people will say, I won't use a clicker until I'm consistent. Others will go, I will use a clicker to become consistent. And that makes sense. Which side am I on? As someone who has a formal training background, at least some kind of formal training with a coach, and someone who coaches other people, with guidance, you can train with a clicker and learn much more quickly. What Diego is going through after 6 months, someone who is using a clicker with guidance will shoot better than Diego in 3 months. That's what I mean by, if you take this long to use a clicker, then you're slowing your progress down. On the flip side, Jun is a good example of the unstable anchor or the short arrow. In this case, if Jun used the clicker for the next 6 months, he will set himself back 6 months or 3 months. So that's what I mean by clickers are very important, but you must set them correctly. Otherwise, neither of you will progress very well. And it's funny that we end on the clickers with both opposite problems, because that is the end of our live stream. It is now 4:20 a.m. We'll take some last questions before we go. It's been a long stream. I started at 2:30, so that's a long live stream. I had quite a few submissions, which is really good. Happy to get people to help out. I will be doing my Q&A. Let's say in approximately 14-15 hours. Yeah, honest. Yeah, the Q&A I was planning to do today. No, not now, but I'm planning it in around 14 hours from now, approximately. I'm not sure. I've got archery today, so I've got to go to sleep, shower in the morning, go and coach. I've got afternoon shooting and planning. Got a competition tomorrow as well. But I want to do a live stream at some point in the evening. It's not this time, obviously. I can't wake up that early, or stay up that late. But sometime around then. So yeah, it's around 15 hours from now. I'm not sure exactly when, but approximately 12 to 15 hours from now will be the Q&A live stream. But that was good. It's been a while. I haven't made a lot of videos recently. You know, I've been busy with work. It's kind of being like the end of autumn, start of winter. So the weather's dropping. It's getting cooler, a bit rainier, more time training. So I'm actually feeling really good about my shooting right now. But I haven't had time to bring the camera out and do videos because I have like half an hour of daylight before I lose light for shooting, let alone filming. I can do indoor, but we can't really move the indoor target. And I want to showcase outdoor form a bit more, run the indoor form. But we'll see how it works. I have to do some shifting around to get my my camera equipment and filming. Because I don't find myself like shooting in my 10-meter shed as much anymore because I don't feel as much to gain. I need distance. And then there are a few things happening up which I'm gonna really join in. Junior machining for 2 months. That makes a lot of sense, by the way. Yeah, might be a bit too soon for the clicker. I think if you still got some, either that or get better long arrows. So yeah, it actually makes sense. You know, like what you're doing is sensible. I don't think you did anything wrong. It's just your learning process, which will make a lot of sense. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm not sure whether to push it earlier or later, but hopefully, yeah. Do you have a tournament coming up? I've got what's that tournament? I've got a club but we do a club event every season. So on Sunday we've got an autumn shoot. It's gonna be a low turnout, I think. Not many people signed up for it. So yeah, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's I'm in form. I think I've got a good process. I think I'm shooting really well. But it's gonna be a bit of a downer, I guess, because you want a close contest. You don't want to like run over people who haven't practiced, and I feel like at the moment, so few of us in the club are actually training regularly that it's kind of a one horse race, and that's satisfying. So I'm trying to look for more events at the state level to kind of compete more regularly. I think I used to compete a lot. But ever since I did the whole president club work, I've just been less motivated because, look, the reality is that when you commit to a lot of things of archery becomes work. And when archery becomes work, you don't want to do it. And that's kind of what I went through the past few years. So I'm coming back from that now. I'm trying to take a step away from club duties, step away from commitments, give myself more time to enjoy archery. It's why when I did horsebow shooting, traditional shooting, longbow shooting, I had a lot more fun doing so. Because you got to find fun. I never saw myself as an Olympic archer. I do it because it's the best style for the purpose, which makes more sense. But I want to have fun too, so I have different ways to shoot. So having been motivated to shoot a game, just having the time and that good headspace was really important. And maybe this year I'll start doing more events because I've gone through a large slump and I'm coming back and feel like, wow, I am where I should be. So I'm coming back from that. All right, last few questions. Hard drum step. You bought your Mandarin Duck Black Hunter from Amazon as my first bow. Is it good for beginner? 40-pound left-handed. No, it's not. Sorry, hard drum step, but okay. If it's your first bow, the Black Hunter is a nice bow. I wouldn't call it a beginner bow, by the way, but it's a nice bow. But 40-pound. Especially for the short Black Hunter, it's a small bow, so it's a punchy bow. It's 40-pound for a beginner. I think it is a bad idea. If you start with a 25-pound bow, no more than 30-pound, sure, but 40-pound, that's I think you made a bad choice. But I don't know much about you. Here's the thing, okay? Last week at our club, we had someone turn up with a bow. And it's a 40-pound PSC bow. I can't remember which one it was, but it's a 40-pound bow. And she pulled her arrows out. And her arrows, I kid you not, are about this long. They're like they're like crossbow bolts. They're that short. I'm a small guy. She was my height, by the way. I'm 5'4", okay? So the arrows are about that long. I'm not kidding. They're about this long. Let's get a ruler. They were slightly longer than this bar here. Slightly. Kind of like this much more. These were super short arrows. We have a kid. One of our members has a son who's 5 years old. Remember the mini bow we had? The arrows are longer than that, but I've got a feeling that this bow, the arrow would not fit a 6-year-old. And I'm wondering, how do you use these arrows? How do you get these arrows? Like, they're so short you can't buy them. They have to be cut custom. And it turns out that this person was using a bow she inherited from a family or something. 40-pound bow. Sorry, the 40-pound bow. She couldn't draw it back. She couldn't draw it back. So she actually, instead of using a long arrow and drawing it part way, she cut the arrow to match the draw length. And that makes no sense to me. Because she would shoot like this. 40-pound bow. Yeah. That's all she can do. And because the arrows are that short, she actually can't draw any more than that. Even if she shot correctly, she can't pull it through the back. And I went, well, I couldn't say anything because it's her bow, her arrow. She wants to shoot the way she wants to shoot, right? I have no right to judge someone to say you're doing it wrong. But to me, I cannot tolerate someone who shoots like that. It is actually dangerous for their body. One, if you can't pull back a 40-pound bow to full draw, you shouldn't be using it. Forcing yourself to shoot a bow that you can't physically use does not make you capable of using it. You don't become stronger by half drawing. Guys, you have to do it correctly to make gains. Imagine you're lifting weights. You're not going to get stronger by doing like tiny curls, right? If you're doing like bicep curls, you're not going to go, that's not how you get muscular strength, you know. You don't do push-up. I mean, like, push-ups are a bit different. You can do push-ups on your knees, for example, and you still work some upper body strength. That's completely fine. But, you know, like, if you're not going to use the correct muscle in the correct motion, you will not have any gain. So people who think that you can become stronger by shooting a heavy bow and pulling back further and further each time, who told you this? I feel sad because there's a guy here, one of our friends who brought it there, was thinking this was okay, and I think unfortunately through ignorance he is enabled, or someone has enabled this person to shoot with a form that is potentially dangerous to her physical health. And she never asked for help. She never approached to ask questions. So I'm like, hey, check these arrows out. I'm like, how do you use this? And she's doing this. I mean, if I was her coach, I would not make her do this. But, you know, she came as a visitor. I'm not going to teach someone who doesn't want to be taught. That's different. But like Anna said, it is kind of funny and it's kind of tragic. And that's the problem. Someone who has a 40-pound bow has bought the wrong equipment for the. And by the way, you know what's really sad? By the way, honest, she insists on shooting without a finger tab. She hates finger protection. So, 40-pound bow, 15-inch arrows, no finger tab. There were a lot of things that I saw on that day which triggered me, which I had to step away from. I had to go, no, this isn't my problem. I'm an instructor. I will teach people who are new, but if you want to shoot your own bow and do it your way, I'm not liable for this. You're paying for this, not me. If you want to destroy your nerves and your fingers and destroy your front shoulder and shoot through your hand, have fun with that. It's not my problem. So, lots of issues there. That's why, Hard Drum, I'm being very hard on you, because why the hell are you shooting a 40-pound bow as a first bow? Alright. I wouldn't shoot a 40 pound bow as my first bow. I buy 40 pound bows today because I've been doing archery for like 6 7 years now, right? I don't mind 40 pound. Yeah, so might be a mistake there. Hard drum step. There's just no reason for 40 pound bow. Even if you watch my videos, I don't recommend more than 30 pound for a beginner. Never. Even 30 pounds is a bit too much for a beginner. And just so many people F this up. They keep thinking, oh yeah, I'm strong enough, I'll shoot 30 pound. Why do you want a 30 pound bow? What is that makes people think 30 is acceptable? Because everyone else uses 30 pound? Because it's what people sell? No. I've seen people shoot 30 pound and shoot like shit. Because they overestimate their physical ability. And that is the biggest mistake every new person makes. Or like the biggest and most common newbie mistake is buying a heavier draw weight they can handle. No, you don't do that. Is the Black Hunter IOF? No, it's not. It is not an LF bow. I've got one, so it's about reviewed it. No, it's not IOF. I've been approached by another Chinese company who's making IOF longbows, but to be interesting to look at. By the way, I don't think it's ego, Jin. I think it's more ignorance. Ego is when you've got a high draw weight and you feel like I don't need a finger tab, or whatever. It's a lot of people who do that are egotistic, which is I see where you're coming from. But this particular person, I think, is more ignorant, not willfully ignorant, just never been taught, and no one's pointed her out that something's right or wrong. And I feel that if you come to a club with people who have the expertise, you should ask them to help. But if you come in with the mentality where I know what I'm doing, therefore I don't need help, okay, I'm not gonna force you to shoot otherwise. Yeah, a lot of people have the mentality of buying a heavier draw weight to get stronger, and you don't. It doesn't work that way, people. It doesn't work that way. So many people ask me, "Oh, how do I want to shoot a 40 pound bow. How do I get stronger?" You don't get stronger through using a bow. You have to do extra training to get stronger. Using the bow regularly will be part of that process, but using bows will not give you a linear pathway to become stronger. It's like, let's say you've never done weightlifting before, and you want to bench press 50 kilograms or something as a starting point. You go, how do I do that? Well, you need a routine. You need a training regimen to get you to that draw weight. And something we talked about with my fellow shooters recently is, if you want to shoot a high draw weight, you have to actually maintain a physical routine. You can't just automatically pick up a 50-pound bow and shoot that indefinitely. You need to actually maintain that. And one of the reasons why I haven't changed my draw weight from 40 pound or 36 on the fingers. I shoot 70 meters with my 40-pound bow. I don't go higher than that because I don't have a physical build or routine that enables me to shoot a higher draw weight. Sure, most professional men will shoot 50s, high 40s to the low 50s. But I'm not a professional. I don't shoot 7 days a week. I only shoot 2 or 3 times a week. So because of that, realistically, I know I can't shoot a heavy draw weight. But here we are. Everyone in chat right now is throwing out numbers which are like 30 pounds. In fact, am I like the highest draw weight here? I'm the smallest guy with the highest draw weight, right? But I'm doing this for a reason, because control, stamina, but especially control. You can't sacrifice that. And yet there are so many people who buy new bows who say, I'll grow into it. Someone who has never experienced archery thinking they can grow into a bow is very misguided. It is a good economic choice. I understand why people do this or why people think this way, but people who think that they can start from like with no training and work into a 40-pound bow are misguided. And our friend over here with the 40-pound bow with the 18-inch arrows is a good example of what happens of when you are misguided and think that you can get stronger by doing half draws with tiny arrows until you get stronger. If you're not using the right muscles, you will never grow. And that is the reality of that. A question before from what was the hard drum step? Lighter limbs for a Black Hunter? What's the lowest draw you can get on a Black Hunter? I don't remember. Go below 30. I would not recommend 40 pound for your first bow. Full stop. That's crazy. I don't care who does it, but 40 pounds is gonna destroy your muscles. Your shoulders are gone. Don't do it to yourself, man. Don't do it to yourself. 30 pound. Black Hunter comes to 30 pound. I recommend that. That's a good starting point. 30 pound is I would not recommend more than 30 pound on the first bow, and even then, that's pushing beginners. We recommend like 20 pound, 25 pound for beginners. 30 pound tops if you have some physical background. 30 pound for your limbs. That's the lowest draw the hunter comes in. It's 30 or 40. Go for 30. Don't do 40. That's madness. Oh yeah, so Jin's comment there. You can buy the Arworth mounts and risers and bolts, sure. You can build a riser, sure, and yeah, good luck with that. Right, that's a really cold chai latte. I made that like 3 hours ago. Damn. Oh, still tastes good though. Fresh milk too. 120 kilograms. You're a big man, Mentally. I think you're right, Rocket Fist. It's kind of like if you don't know the measurements firsthand, then you go, oh yeah, I'll get middle. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. Drum. Do you not watch my videos? I think you have to. If you watch my videos, I don't care how tall you are or how heavy you are. It has no bearing on what bow you get. Like I said in my video, if you are this tall and weigh this much, what's your shoe size? It makes no difference how big you are. You can see really big guys with huge bulky muscles struggle with 20-pound bows because they've never used the right muscles. No, you do not buy a bow based on your physical stats, and there is no reason why you would ever need to make this comparison. It just makes no sense whatsoever. You pick your draw weight based on your experience in archery, and that is all. That is the only requirement. You pick what you can handle. You never make a judgment based on your height or your weight or your penis size or whatever. Okay? Don't ever do that. That is, you've made the biggest mistake, which beginners always make. Drum. That's what you've done. I'm glad you pointed out. I know I'm being hard on you here, right? But I'm look. I'd be hard on you in this feed rather than you getting shoulder surgery in 5 years' time. I'm deadly serious. I'm deadly serious here. God, so many people screw this up. I know the thing with being a club, thankfully, is that people will tell you this, and the things that it's hard because a lot of people are defensive. So when someone's using a heavy bow, they want to justify, oh, I spent $100 on his draw length, or I spent $200 on his bow. I don't want to get rid of it. Well, firstly, you're an idiot for buying the bow in the first place for not to use it, right? But it's like people make the mistake. And instead of learning from the mistake, they make it worse for themselves. They just justify it. It's kind of like, I bought a 50-pound bow, we can't use it. And someone tells them, we go, oh, but, I bought the bow, I'm going to use it, I'll learn to use it. And they get worse and worse and worse and worse. They start doing all these really bad things. And, it's weird. Okay, now, funny story. It's only 5 a.m. I don't care. Okay, this is a completely irrelevant example, but a friend of mine, we were catching up over dinner, and a friend of mine was talking about a colleague who had this really funny habit. Okay, so he's someone. I mean, I don't know who he is, but I recognize the symptoms. So he's a very jumpy person, and he has very bad phone mannerism. Okay, there are a lot of weird things he does, but this is what he did. He wanted to make a phone call to a supplier or a client, basically. So they do they're a company which supplies things. So he calls a client, and he need to call this person to check something, but while he was dialing this number, he kind of had cold feet and didn't want to call this person. So he calls, but then hangs up before they pick up. Okay? Now, a few minutes later, the person calls him back. So, what does he do? He picks up the phone and says, "Oh, no, this is the wrong number. We're not this company. This is the wrong number. This isn't right." And for the next 5 minutes, he keeps on saying, "Oh, no, this isn't the right company. No, I'm not that person. We don't do this. This is the wrong place." We live in a society where you have caller ID, right? So when a company calls another client, they have the contact. And instead of saying, "Oh, sorry, that was an accident," "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call you, I'll call you again next week," or something, he just lied that this is the wrong number. And for 5 whole minutes, with the entire office listening, this guy who just called the client and then called back is lying about why this was the wrong number. It was, how hard is it for a person to say, "Sorry, that was an accident"? Even just lying about saying, "I'm sorry, that was kind of like I pushed the wrong number." But instead of saying he didn't want to call it, he made a lie about how this was the wrong company and everything was all made up. And this is kind of the high draw weight mistake which people do. They make the mistake of buying the wrong draw weight. But instead of just taking the easy option and saying, "Whoops, I should have bought a 20-pound bow," they stick with the 40-pound bow. And they double up on that by saying, "No, I have to shoot it now. I'm okay. Everyone else can shoot it. I can shoot it. You're all wrong. You shouldn't tell me what to do." Exactly, like I told him, just butt dial it, right? You know, I've done it before. You butt dial someone, sure. It might be an office phone, maybe you touch the wrong button or something. But they actually go on this tangent where you actually make up this conspiracy theory about having crossed wires and numbers. Hilarious. And the thing is that I know why it happens. This is why I say I don't label people, but this is kind of like the autistic Asperger's thing, where you have that social anxiety, where instead of admitting that you're at fault, you feel really self-conscious, like it wasn't your fault. So you make up something to protect yourself. It's a coping mechanism. So he might be conditioned to lie to protect himself and his dignity, even though it's obviously made him worse. But you don't think that far ahead. But this is kind of what I think about when people buy high draw weights, and that is when you put yourself in a situation where you bought the thing, you have to use it. And unfortunately, because you keep on using it, you keep on building up this facade that everything's okay, that you'll be fine, you get stronger. The solution would be to buy a lighter bow. You can keep your bow, but buy a light on the practice with it. So many people have a hard time doing that. And that's one of my constant challenges as an instructor, is getting people who come to the club with very high draw weights and you keep thinking that, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine." It's not that easy. Yeah, and here we go. All the people sharing chat about where they started. We all started low. Don't kid yourself. Quick questions. I know I said last questions half an hour ago. Let's do some more last questions. Where are we? Well, I think people are waking up now, right? 'Cause I've been on for so long. People are waking up now. Crap. Whoops. I should go to stop. I felt like archery in like 4 hours or something. I need to wake. I need to go to sleep. I'm not tired, by the way. I'm just like I slept all day. And now I'm like it's like 4 o'clock. I'm still awake. I'm having a nap or something. Let's close my eyes or something. Quick question. Absadchep. I've been doing archery. Oh, Scotland. The simple question about my draw. I'm better at hitting where I want when I have a high draw, so I don't have to just aim at normal draw height. Best way to explain my draw height. What's the question, by the way? Starting from a high draw isn't a bad thing. There's something wrong with the high draws. It's not you don't sky draw dangerously. High draw is fine, but if you're doing the Yumi style like that and you draw it down, that's what do you mean by you shoot well? Okay, this is the Dunning-Kruger effect. When people say I shoot better, if people say I shoot better by doing this technique, how well do you shoot in the first place? A lot of people who I work with, they say I shoot better this way. When I watch them, they shoot like crap anyway. So it's when you have a low foundation, it is very hard to judge what is better when you haven't yet established a consistent routine. And it's kind of like okay. It's like when people judge that a certain style of martial arts is bad, even though they haven't had much time doing it. And certain styles are more practical than others in self-defense or in real life situations and so on. But it's kind of like if you don't know the technique well, how can you judge if it is bad? This is for those who watch Shadowversity. A couple of years ago, he had this huge controversy where he kind of applied the Bruce Lee mentality. He would say, take what is useful and discard what is useless. And he applied this to HEMA, and he, in some way, presented himself as like that philosopher where he will only use what works for him. And a lot of people like London Longsword, I think Matt Easton came out as well. There's a lot of negative feedback where the point was if this technique doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean the technique is bad. It might mean that you don't know how to make it work because you haven't practiced it enough. So this is what I mean when we come to techniques like if your hydro technique works, high draw technique works, then sure, that could be better for you. But have you trained enough in other styles and methods to fairly judge what is better? So what I would recommend is you experiment with what works, but don't be so quick to judge what is better or worse if you haven't achieved an objective quality. If you shoot, like if you're able to like score or measure or some kind of skill measurement, like a grouping or something, then sure, that makes sense. You can say that I shoot better with an angular draw than a linear draw, and I score higher this way. That makes complete sense. But if it's a vague criteria, then it is more difficult to assess what you're doing right or wrong. I gotta see you shoot, Absatja. I can't comment on your form without seeing your form, and this is one of the rules I'll follow from now on. I always have, but I don't judge form based on written description. It's like the House MD philosophy: the patient always lies. So when people say I shoot fine, I don't believe them. When people say this technique's better, I don't believe them. I gotta see it first because I can't give feedback unless someone shows me. This is a classic thing about with my video on Olympic archery. People always say, "Oh, I don't do this and I shoot fine." Sure, but you don't shoot 70 meters, and you're not a world record holder, so your opinion doesn't matter. So that's what I mean. Like I need objectivity and see it in action. Results or like even scores don't count because like your grooving can be bad, but your score might be high. So if it's accurate but not precise, then there's room for improvement. So I would never comment on someone without seeing their form. Even on things like Reddit or email, people will type a whole paragraph. That's what I do. I can't work with that. I need to see this because, like I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But more importantly, a video is worth 10,000 words or whatever. It makes more sense to do that. You can't write what you do. You can only show what you do. There's a point there. So that was Abstarch's kind of point there. If ease of a video, like it wouldn't be great if somebody had like a live form check series. Okay, next question from Jakub, or Jacob. I'll say Jakub. What is the correct knocking point height? There is no correct knocking point height. The normally you would go slightly above perpendicular. So let's say your bowstring is here and your arrow. I need an arrow. I don't have an arrow. I cleaned up recently. Let's try something imaginary. Let's try this thing, the stylus. Okay, let's pen. Okay, so if this is your bowstring and this is your arrow, normally it's pointing downwards slightly. Not much, but slightly. Okay, so it's not completely perpendicular. It is slightly higher, so that the arrow points slightly downwards. That's normally the starting point of your knocking area. That said, it also depends on your tune as well. So you have to experiment with a bare shaft to see where the arrow goes, but the starting point is slightly higher than square. Too high is not good, but too low is not good either. Yeah, Jin makes a good comparison there. Yeah, like if a starting rifle, if you're using firearms, if you weigh like 100 kilograms, it doesn't mean you use a 50 caliber gun, right? You start with what you can handle, not what you weigh. Um, hmm. Yeah, Nathan's got a point there. Look, I'm not diagnosed with Asperger's, but if I was to be assessed like formally, I would probably show up as Asperger's or high functioning. Um, I was assessed for a few things when I was a kid, but like I didn't understand what it was till I was a teacher, and then I realized, oh, that's my childhood. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, no, not every person with autism or Asperger's has the same sort of thing here, but it's like I said, it's a pattern you often see, depending on the person itself, of course. But I understood why this person was digging a hole. I was probably very much like that as well. I would rather kind of lie rather than feel shame for making a mistake, and that's kind of a thing. You know, it's a personality thing. It's also a bit of it's like that anxiety where like you panic and you kind of don't know how to solve this problem because you don't have that social filter or that social cues. So it can be hard for someone to recognize the correct way to navigate out of the situation. Later on, we shared the story where this the same person was like noting how his colleagues use the phone, and he explained that the way he does it is very different. The fact that you're being so precise with phone mannerism is another kind of a sign that you have a bit of Asperger's, because we like to make order of things. We like systematic things. We have conversation trees. We want efficient pathways. We don't like free form choices. So he was looking at colleagues how they were like they have like nicety, they have like formalities like hi, how are you? Oh, it's really nice. Oh, I have a puppy as well. So you have a lot of casual conversation as part of business interaction. Whereas his phone call was more like, tell me what I want. What do you want? This is what I want. Buy, done. So very brute force efficiency, which is very crude in phone mannerism. If you like, it couldn't say goodbye, for example. It was like bye, yeah, bye, bye, and just like slam the phone like that. So very, kind of awkward to talk to. And yeah, like the idea of practicality and efficiency to get a fixed result was his style of phone call. Whereas most people working offices and like clients will have to interact on a human level, and that's something about people with Asperger's tend to have a bit more difficulty with. Not all people, but they tend to. And people, again, like people will change, like as they get more conditioning or more social skills or be exposed to different environments. They might become more comfortable and become more adaptive. Others will find a harder time. A lot of it, there's so many variables in this, but it's a pattern which I've noticed in that. Um, yeah, like I said, like some people are very prideful and easy humiliated, which is kind of like what I kind of was back then. Now I don't give a shit really, but conditioning does a lot of people. All right, nicking point, knocking point lower, cool. Where was I? Yeah, I think we're done for the night. I think we've done a good job. It's like 5 o'clock now. It's been like 2.5 hours stream. I gotta wake up like an owl, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, like I said, guys, I'll be doing my Q&A a bit late today, about 12 hours from now, hopefully, or maybe more. But this has been a long stream, so I might kind of push it back a little later for those who couldn't make the last one. But thanks for everyone who sent videos for this particular one. It's one of the biggest ones so far. Lots of good analysis, and like I said, the best thing about this is we learn from each other. We can see what we're doing right. We can see what we need to work on, and this is a very unique and good opportunity for us to share our archery experiences. So again, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this. For me, a very late stream, but I'm still awake, so yeah, that'll work nicely. So thank you all for joining me tonight, this morning, or whatever it is. Hopefully, I will catch you soon for the live Q&A later on. So again, I'm NUSensei. I'll see you next time.